Okay, so I did a lot of the drilling here, but I need to do a lot more, but I wanted to go ahead and sand this before I did any more because we got some pretty bumpy stuff here. So I'm going to sand a little bit and then we'll see what happens. Going to take quite a bit of sanding, more than I thought. So I'm going to sand this down and then we'll come back and I'll show you what the next step is. Okay guys, so we're back. So what we did, you saw on the last clip where we did a lot of the drilling with the Dremel, and then I went and I sanded it with the disc sander over there. And then we took it back in and we poured more resin over it. And I went ahead and poured the blue because I was afraid if I just put the clear over it, it was going to kind of show lines, kind of show through here. So we did just a real thin blue pour to cover up that. So now I'm just going to sand it down, get rid of this stuff that's on the wood that we don't want on there. And I'm going to sand it with an 80 grit just to get it off of there, and then I'm going to go back and clean it up, do a, what do you call that, a finish sand, I guess, with this Cling Spore disc that is a 240. So, here we go. Basically what I'm doing, I'm just getting that resin stain off the wood. So I'm going to do the rest of this off camera, then I'll come back when we're ready to do the finish sand. Okay, so it's really hot out here today. So I took all this off. I did have to use that disc sander again to get some of the high spots, but we got that all done. Now I'm just going to use the 240 and I'm going to go and just do hopefully a good enough finish sand on it, so then we'll move on to the next step. guys about that. I do see a couple little air bubbles, but I don't really think they're going to be an issue. Now, we'll move on to the next step. So keep watching.
Hey, you guys! Look who's back! It's Rachel, the painter. That's what we named her. Her middle name on her birth certificate is the painter.
It was super fun when I was filling out my passport information.
So you guys know how I feel about painting. Hence, Rachel is taking care of the boat part. I can take care of the total and the boat, but the actual boat with that blending kind of thing going on there, Rachel's going to show us how to do that. So I've got the camera right down on the vessel.
Okay, so we want to get your brush wet. Not too wet so that I keep my paper towel with me. You want your brush wet. You're going to mix your paints, the lighter color, on the inside of your brush. So you're going to, what they call is...
Load the brush.
Load the brush. I was just blinking.
Thank you.
Want to load. Thank you, non-painter. I get that nice and thick in there. Push that into the bristles, okay? And then you're going to take your darker color and take that on the outside there. Ooh. Ah. Okay.
All right.
So we're going to... This is a little bit thicker than the brush that I have. So doing it in one stroke's not going to be doable, but I'll do the best I can. The key with that is keeping a light hand. When you want that blending, keeping it nice and light. I don't want to get any in that.
Yes, please, none in the black curve.
I've already got a little bit.
I can see that. That's all right. I'll fix that. That I can fix.
That's good because I can't. So, like I said, the key with any kind of blending going from dark to light is keeping a light hand.
And keeping your brush loaded up, I guess. Huh?
Yeah. And since it's starting to get real dry again, your brush, my brush, is drying out faster. If you have a medium in there, one of them is actually called matte paint. It's going to go on clear. But if you have something like that, that's a good. Helps keep your brush wet, keep your paints flowing nice and smooth, and honestly, kind of helps blend. If you don't have that, then be sure to keep a soft hand. So, that middle part blending is going to be a little bit where you would struggle a little bit more, Dad.
Yeah. Like bust it with a hammer. That would be my struggle, yes.
So, I'm going to come in here, get that nice dark. I'm not used to painting on wood.
What do you normally paint on?
Canvas.
Oh, okay. I was going to say sidewalks.
I only paint on wood for you guys. I usually am a canvas painter. Oh shoot, I got on my hand. I'm sorry, Dad.
You got what on your hand?
I got paint on my hand. So,
It's not my hand.
well, it got on your board.
That's a problem.
I'm sorry. Once it dries, will it just
Once it dries.
Once
it dries, it's going to hit just as hard across your face.
Once it dries, you can just take a little sander, not a sander,
I'll fix
but
it. I'll fix it.
the fixer of everything. See, my paints are drying out.
And these are the little cheap acrylic water-based paints, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you normally use?
Yeah, acrylics. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, I usually have a medium in there where it just helps that blend.
And the medium keeps it from drying out as well?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. It's there. I think I'm pretty sure one of them is actually called medium.
Okay.
One of the ones that I use when I do paint, when I have time. But the
That's
other one,
pretty good though.
the other one is called is actually called matte, and you can get it. You can get it at Walmart. You can get it pretty much. Joann's, Hobby Lobby, anything like that. If you don't want the lines in there, like I said, keep it really soft. And gradually pull up off of the brush. Pull the brush up off of the board.
Okay.
So if you don't want those, the streaks,
Yeah.
like I'm trying to get all those little wood colored spots at the edge here. So what I'll do to get rid of those streaks, I'm gonna load my brush in nice and full. Take a little bit of that darker color and just really soft. That way your blend is nice and even. Like I said, I'm not used to working on wood, so these spots are kind of catching me off a little bit. How's that?
Yeah, it's looking good. Now it's my turn to paint. But I'm just going to be painting these letters right here, not like that blending thing that Rachel did on the boat. So I am going to come right back because I'm filming this by myself. I'm going to come right back, zoom down here, and you'll just see my hands doing a little bit of painting.
Okay, folks, so now it's my turn again. So Eric and I came up with this design, and this you'll see down here, I don't know if you've seen them yet, but these are some waves that are going to go, time's up, that are going to go around the frame of the Totalboat sign. So what I'm going to do, I sprayed them with chalk paint, this blue, because I really liked this blue. I thought it was a good color. And then I'm going to pour clear over it, and then I'm going to drizzle white and make the flames. The waves look like splashing waves like you see in the ocean resin pieces. That's the goal. So here I just have white, just solid white, and then I have clear here because I don't want to cover up that blue. So,
and again, we are
using the Totalboat tabletop resin. So what I'm going to do...
But this isn't the maker epoxy, it's the tabletop.
No, this is the tabletop. And I'm just going to make sure that everything's covered. Just pat it around. Awkward silence. Oh, a hair. Don't want that in there.
Not mine.
No, not yours. Yeah. Not much chance of it staying put since it's got all these curves and stuff, so it's fine. I made 4 ounces, so that's 2 ounces of the hardener and 2 ounces of the resin. I might as well use this down here since it's there. So I'll just do this one and then you can get an idea of what I'm doing.
Then do the other 3 off camera then?
Yeah.
And then come back for the white process?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to go.
That way we don't bore anybody, hopefully.
Too late, probably.
All right. So there we have that. Now, wipe that on there. I'm going to just kind of blow this and get some of the bubbles out. I see a spot here that I missed. Right there. Looks like everything's covered.
Yeah, it does. From here it does.
So now we're just going to put this here. And pray that this turns out the way it did on my practice pieces. So now, and that's, I see a couple of dry spots. It's soaked in.
Oh, is that what it did?
Yeah.
It was covered before.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. Where'd it go? Right there. So that's that. Move it around a little bit more. There we go. So from there, a little bit more here. All right, so that's about that. Did I do? I want to add a little bit more. For some reason, it's not sticking right there. Whoops. All right, that's about it. So from here, whoops, gotta move this around a little bit. We're gonna let that dry, and then I'm gonna go ahead and finish these other pieces and keep touching them up. So once these are done, then we'll go on to the next step. That's what. Okay, folks, so you saw how we did the waves on the last scene. This is what it's gonna, well, with minus the clamps, this is what our plan is. So we did the frame with the waves, and we've got this clamps on here to hold them in place, but what I did was I got some of the penetrating resin, because I really don't want bubbles underneath there. So we are going to adhere this, because we were trying to figure out how to do this without glue or with glue or whatever. And I'm not going to use glue. So I've got this penetrating resin, and it's a 2-to-1 resin. And I've got, what, 1.5 ounces total. So I've got 1 ounce of this and 1/2 ounce of the hardener. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brush it on here. And then we'll glue it all down.
So what we're hoping for, just to, kind of make this clear, is what we're hoping for is to put this penetrating epoxy on the bottom side of the piece and then also on the board, and we're hoping that will eliminate any air bubbles coming out when we do our flood pour afterwards.
But you hadn't mentioned that we were doing a flood pour. That's why I didn't say anything.
Well, yeah, they kind of have to know that. In the past, when we've done overlay things like this and we didn't seal up underneath, we've had issues with bubbles coming out from underneath glued on pieces. So we're hoping that this kind of eliminates that it creates a complete seal underneath there, and we don't have.
That's the plan, anyway.
That's what we're attempting to do.
All right.
There we go. Good. That's not. It feels like it. Does it feel like it's kind of sucking down?
Sucking down. Yeah.
That's exactly what we want. Well, I might give you a third clamp for the middle too. Do it at the end and then in the middle.
There's. Yeah. Could I?
Yeah.
Have
Why
another
don't you
one?
grab? Well, I've got more clamps over here.
There. So that should work for that. So now I am going to do the other sides, and our next scene, hopefully we'll be doing our flood coat.
Yeah, I think we're gonna let this set for a day. Come back tomorrow and do our flood coat.
Yep.
I think.
I think we'll be good.
Yeah.
So,
All right,
guys, see you on the next one. Okay, guys, welcome back. So we have glued the waves onto the Totalboat board. One thing we learned, a little mistake we made, even though I did these waves, I put the resin on them 2 days before we put these on here. I think it was about 2 days, 2.5 days.
Day and a half, yeah.
Day and a half, yeah. When we put these things on here, we should have put some kind of wax paper or something in here. Because if you look right down here, you'll see a little mark, the mark from the
like a little waffle mark.
Little waffle mark from that clamp. So there were a couple of them. So I'm just going to take this and just scuff it out of there. Kind of need to do this for the resin thing here too, anyway. So I'm just going to scuff this.
And the other thing that we thought that we would have done different is not use the penetrating epoxy for a glue down, because there seemed to be some.
There's some gaps that I'll show you here in just a minute. All right. All right. I think they're on my side over here.
I think they are. I'm not sure the
I
camera's
don't know if
gonna
the camera's
show
going to be able to see them. Yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Right in here, there's some gapping. So it's where we didn't get it clamped down tight enough. And there's a couple of other spots. So I have mixed up 16 ounces of resin. We used a resin calculator. Went, according to that, maybe a little over as to what we're going to need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get some resin down in there before I put this in there. And the reason being is I want some resin in there. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Because I don't want bubbles. So I want to kind of fill that up. I don't want. I'm going to tip it up kind of. You're going to have to look at the back for just a minute.
So
Which,
the idea
honestly,
is
I don't think it's going to go.
to get as much resin down underneath those things at any place where there would be
There's a few places that there is some gap that I'm just going to kind of try to fill in a little bit. And again, guys, we're not professional resiners. Resonators.
But if we were to do it again, we would definitely stick it down with the thick.
With the thick
The
resin.
thick, because I think that would have helped eliminate those gaps.
Yeah.
More than.
So with that, I'm gonna pour this.
Oh yeah, and we are using the
Totalboat tabletop.
tabletop.
All right. So I'm gonna pour this on. It's already getting warm. Make sure I get in there. Ooh. Not easy to do in little bits with this thing.
Ooh, that is getting warm, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. Here we go.
Oh, that doesn't look like enough.
Well, if it's not, we'll pour a second coat.
I'll take care of this front edge.
Yeah, that's getting warm. When it's getting warm, that just means it's starting to cure. So,
And you mixed it, you hand mixed it for a good 5 minutes.
5
right?
minutes. It says 3 to 5 minutes on the instructions on the back. I try to always mix it at least 5 minutes, just because I'd rather have it too mixed than not mixed enough. So we may do a second coat on it if it's not, exactly what you want. But it's already starting to cure, so. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the torch and I'm going to get some of these bubbles out, but I want them to come up a little bit more first. And this is self-leveling, so it will kind of fill in and fill out and do all of its good stuff. Ow.
And we leveled it up with your Dixie cup.
Yeah, my Dixie cup method.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let's see. We got some bubbles coming up. Alright, so we're going to keep watching this. And we do... Oh, I don't want that to burn that. So we've got a few bubbles coming up, but we'll work them out. So,
That looks really cool.
yeah. So, once this is done, we will come back. We may pour a second coat on it. Not sure yet. We'll wait and see what happens. But we will be back. So, you guys keep watching.